Hello dear students, welcome back to the third video of the human reproduction chapter. As we have already learned about the male reproductive system and the female reproductive system, I believe we are now ready to learn about the various events that takes place in the sexual reproduction of human beings. So today we will discuss on gametogenesis. So let's get started. We know that gametogenesis is the process of formation of gametes. What kind of gametes? The formation of the male and female gametes. In case of human beings, the male gametes are produced in the testes. Where in the testes? In the seminiferous tubules of testes. And in case of females, the gametes are produced in the ovary and the female gametes are called the ovum or ova. So how the sperm in case of males and egg cells in case of females are formed, this is what we will see in the process of gametogenesis. So what is the first step that takes place in gametogenesis? The formation of male and female gametes. I repeat, the formation of male and female gametes. And based on the type of gametes they produce, gametogenesis is of two types. The first one is known as spermatogenesis, where the formation of sperm takes place in the seminiferous tubules of the testes, and oogenesis, where the formation of ovum takes place in the ovary. So let's discuss spermatogenesis in details. Spermatogenesis, I have already told you that spermatogenesis is the formation of sperms, and it is formed in the seminiferous tubules of testes. And when does spermatogenesis start? It starts at puberty. That means it is not that sperms are produced inside the testes of a male since he is born. It is not like that. This process or the spermatogenesis is initiated only when the male attains the age of puberty. And that is when he enters the reproductive phase. Before that, when a person is in the juvenile stage, sperms has not been produced in his body. That is why it is said that he has not entered the reproductive phase. That means a male will be able to produce sperms only when he attains the age of puberty. Next is the male germ cells plays the primary role in the process. What is the male germ cells called? It is known as the spermatogonium or the spermatogonia. It plays the primary role because it is being produced here. So there are three major events that take place in spermatogenesis. Number one, the formation of spermatids. Number two, formation of spermatozoa. The formation of spermatozoa is also known as spermiogenesis. And the third event is release of mature spermatozoa. This release of mature spermatozoa is also known as spermiation. So now let us discuss the process of spermatogenesis in details. We see the male germ cells or the spermatogonium here. This is the spermatogonium. The story of spermatogenesis starts with male germ cells, that is the spermatogonium, and the cells which form the inner lining of the seminiferous tubules are the male germ cells. That means the male germ cells are diploid cells. That is, they have twice n chromosomes. And then you know that the human body has total 46 chromosomes, or we also call them 23 pairs of chromosomes, which are diploid cells. So now this spermatogonium will undergo mitosis. What is mitosis? Mitosis is nothing but it is an equational division. Now, why is it important for the spermatogonium to undergo mitosis? because in mitosis what happens is the number of cells that is produced will increase. That means the number of cells will increase. You see here initially there was only twice n spermatogonium, but after it underwent mitosis you can see there are two sets of twice n spermatogonium. One here and this one is here. So you can see that the number has increased. That means it will remain diploid, but only the number will increase. Now, some of these twice n spermatogonium will differentiate themselves into specialized cells. They will differentiate themselves into specialized cells, and when they differentiate themselves into specialized cells, then they are known as the primary spermatocytes. What are they known as? They're known as the primary spermatocytes. Now, these primary spermatocytes, as you have seen, they are diploid in nature. That is, the number of chromosomes remains the same because it underwent mitosis. Now, from after the primary spermatocytes are formed, now they will undergo meiosis. Meiosis is of two types, meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. So in the beginning, it will undergo meiosis 1. And what is meiosis? Meiosis is nothing but a reductional division. That means in this case, the number of the spermatogonia will be reduced to half. So when it is reduced to half, then it is known as the secondary spermatocytes. That means, see, from twice n it has become to 1n. So it has reduced its number of chromosomes. It is 1n here and 1n here. Because it underwent meiosis, and meiosis being haploid, it will make the number of chromosomes also haploid. That is, it is reduced to half. So how many secondary spermatocytes are produced here? Two, one here and one, two. Now these secondary spermatocytes will further undergo meiosis 2. It will undergo meiosis 2 and it will produce total 4 spermatids. These are the 4 spermatids, 1, 2, 3, and 4. After it underwent meiosis 2, the secondary spermatocytes have produced the spermatids and 4 numbers of spermatids are produced. So this is the first event of the process of spermatogenesis. Now after the spermatid is produced, it will start forming sperms, or it will start releasing the sperms. Because these spermatids are transformed into sperms, and sperms are nothing but the male gametes. So this process where the spermatids gets converted to sperms is known as spermiogenesis. So spermiogenesis is nothing but the process where the spermatid transforms itself into sperm, or the formation of sperm is known as spermiogenesis. So you should not get confused between spermiogenesis and spermatogenesis. Spermiogenesis is the process where the spermatid is converted to produce sperm, whereas spermatogenesis is this entire process where the sperm is produced. All right. So now after spermiogenesis, we will see once the sperms are formed, now where are the sperms formed? It is in the seminiferous tubules. Now the sperms will get released from the seminiferous tubules. So the release of sperm from the seminiferous tubules is called spermiation. So these are the sperms. Now after the spermiogenesis, the sperms are formed, and this sperm has to be released from the seminiferous tubules. So the process of the release of sperms is called spermiation, and the entire process is known as the spermatogenesis. So be careful to use the terms in the right place. Be careful that you don't get confused with the terms. So now we will see the hormonal control of spermatogenesis. We know that spermatogenesis in males is initiated at puberty by the secretion of a particular kind of hormone known as the Gonadotropin Releasing Hormone. It is being released by the hypothalamus. When this gonadotropin releasing hormone is secreted by hypothalamus, it also initiates the pituitary to release some kind of hormones. So the pituitary releases these two types of hormones. The first hormone is known as LH in short, and the full form is luteinizing hormone. And the second hormone is known as FSH in short, and the full form is follicle stimulating hormone. Now, what is the utility of the luteinizing hormone? It acts on Leydig cells. Where do you find the Leydig cells? We find the Leydig cells in the interstitial cells of the seminiferous tubules. And what is their function? Their function is to stimulate synthesis and secretion of androgen. What is produced in androgen? A hormone called a testosterone is being produced in androgen. What is the function of the testosterone? I have discussed with you in my first video. The function of testosterone is nothing but to stimulate the process of spermatogenesis. That means testosterone will help in the production of sperms. Next is the follicle stimulating hormone. Its function is to stimulate the sertoli cells to secrete an androgen binding protein and an inhibin. And it also stimulates spermiogenesis. That means it helps in the formation of sperm or the conversion of sperm from spermatids to sperm. This is known as spermiogenesis. Since we have been talking about the seminiferous tubules, as the sperms are produced in the seminiferous tubules of the in the testes of males, let us now see the structure of the seminiferous tubules. The sertoli cells and the male germ cells, or the spermatogonium, forms the inner lining of the seminiferous tubules. So where do you find the sertoli cells? So here, these are the sertoli cells. They form the inner lining of this entire seminiferous tubules. This is a sectional view of a seminiferous tubules. So the sertoli cells and the male germ cells, that is this spermatogonium, these two forms the inner lining of the seminiferous tubules. It is in these male germ cells that we get these primary spermatocytes. See, this is the male germ cells, and here the primary spermatocytes are formed. And from the primary spermatocytes, the secondary spermatocytes are formed. And from the secondary spermatocytes, we get the spermatids. These are the spermatids. The spermatids are formed, and from the spermatids, then we get the sperms. So this also shows the entire process of spermatogenesis. Here is the spermatogonium and the sertoli cells that forms the inner lining of the seminiferous tubules. And in the spermatogonium, the primary spermatocytes are formed. From the primary spermatocytes, we get the secondary spermatocytes. And from the secondary spermatocytes, the spermatids are formed. And from the spermatids, we get the sperms. So this is the structure of seminiferous tubules. Now we will see the structure of sperms. It consists of head, neck, middle piece, and a tail. Which is the head? This is the head. This entire portion is known as the head. It is almost conical in shape. You can see that this shape looks almost conical in shape. And it is formed of two things. One is the acrosome. This is known as the acrosome. And this another is the nucleus. It is formed of the nucleus, and the nucleus contains the chromosomal material in it. Next is the neck. Just this small portion is the neck of the sperm. It is short and has two centrioles, and the centrioles are known as the proximal centrioles and the distal centrioles. Now the acrosome, this is the acrosome. It forms like a cap at the anterior end of the nucleus. Here is the anterior end of the nucleus, and on top of this is the acrosome. It looks like a cap that is situated at the anterior end of the nucleus. And in this nucleus contains chromosomal material. What are the chromosomal material? It's nothing but DNA. The DNA is produced here, and we also have some proteins here. So we have discussed about the neck here. So it is short and has two centrioles, this proximal centrioles and distal centrioles. The proximal centriole initiates the cleavage in the zygote. That is, when the zygote is formed, it is being initiated by the cleavage is being initiated by the proximal centrioles, and the distal centrioles provides attachment to the axial filament of the sperm tail or the flagellum. Next, we have the middle piece. This is known as the middle piece. Starting from here till here, it is known as the middle piece. It is surrounded by a spiral sheet of numerous mitochondria. This spiral kind of thing that you see is nothing but mitochondria, and they are numerous in number and they are spiral in structure. Now, we all know the function of mitochondria. In fact, it is also known as the powerhouse of the cells because it is mitochondria that provides energy. So, in the same manner, even in case of sperm, mitochondria is the one that provides energy to the sperm for the movement of the sperm. The sperm has to move around a lot, so it requires a lot of energy, and that energy is provided by the mitochondria. And the last part of the sperm is the tail, and it helps in the sperm motility. That means it is because of the tail, or with the help of the tail, the sperm is able to move, and it is the tail that enables the sperm to ascend to the female reproductive tract. So that means during the sexual intercourse, it is this tail that will take the sperm to the vagina of the female. So that is all about spermatogenesis today. We will be discussing on another topic or another type of gametogenesis, that is oogenesis, in our next video. Till then, stay at home, learn at home, and stay safe. Bye.